Hi, my name is Craig Allison from ThriveWell Tech. We're located in Frederick. We are a managed services security provider. We are the only MSSP that focuses on the senior living space. We come from Asbury communities, so we're very familiar with operating in the senior living space. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity, particularly as it relates to senior living facility. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, a little background, hopefully lends a little credibility to the organization and what I'm about to tell you. I've been in security business, IT security for the past 20 years. Prior to that, I sold into telecommunications companies, sold test platforms. So I've migrated forward with IT from the break fix scenario all the way through managed services, all the way to MSSP, where we've migrated today. One of the biggest issues that we see, and there's no big secret, is that hacking and attempts to hack are probably one of the primary business concerns today. PC Magazine headline article, it says companies will face a hacking epidemic in 2022. This has been the case for the last several years, and we see it moving forward without an end date. The goal here with security services, software providers, is to try to stay at least a step or two ahead of the bad guys and protect yourselves from their efforts. There is no 100% sure way to guarantee that you won't be hacked, and as a matter of fact, it's probably not a matter of if, it's probably a matter of when you may have a breach. The best that we try to do today is to put you as an organization in a great defensive posture to protect yourselves from the bad actors. Most of these organizations are not little backroom, boiler room type of operations. They are very sophisticated, multi-billion-dollar organizations that have made a really great business out of stealing information and holding it hostage. What we see is, as a strategy for every business, is education. Education is really the key, and not just staff, but to residents as well. And there are multiple ways to do that. There are several software programs out there. One that's called Know Before, which will take both staff and residents, give them an idea of what to look for, what could be an attempted hack. And most of the intrusions come from within, believe it or not. About 90% of those intrusions come from an internal resource that clicks on an attachment, whether it's on the phone, on their cell phone, email, whatever. So we want to protect folks from that. Another way to do that is passwords. Passwords should be fairly complex, not predictable, and those should be changed every 30 days. There are software programs out there that will automatically provide new sophisticated passwords every 30 days or whatever increment that you want to set them to. So that's a good suggestion as well. Common sense really has a lot to do with it. If it looks odd, chances are it probably is. I've seen many attempts to almost fool the trained eye. The hacking attempts are getting increasingly more sophisticated, so it's really hard to tell anymore. So really, common sense and caution is really the best way to proceed. Another great suggestion is do not open attachments if you do not know where they come from. Best thing to do is, you know who it's from before you open it. Call the individual if it's an internal staff and say, "Hey, did you just send me an email?" And they may say no. Well, then don't open it. Notify your IT team if it is somebody that you do know. So it's always best to check and to verify. Make sure that your virus protection software is up to date on all devices. Typically a function of your your IT team. So they'll ensure that. That's really an industry. It's one of the many industry best practices that we follow. As far as your residents go, we really want to discourage them from entering contests, sharing contact information, email, cell phone, any personal information. Once again, encourage them, if they have any questions, please ask. It's very enticing. I understand that, but a good defense is the best way to proceed here. And that goes back to education as well. Also consider a service such as LifeLock or ID Shield, particularly for many of your residents. It will protect them in the event that personal information is breached. And it's fairly low cost, and the services are getting better as time goes on. They're really staying up with the bad guys. So it's something to consider. Families, particularly now with a lot of the younger kids, are pretty proficient at the use of technology, and I think the use of technology throughout the pandemic really introduced maybe some of your residents to more or expose them to more types of technology, Zoom, any of those types of video programs, Skype, that they utilized that when they couldn't see their loved ones. We always preach industry best practice, and it exists. Industry best practices exist for a reason. They exist because they work. The other reason is, if you use multiple IT vendors, or you choose to go to another vendor for IT services, that person's got to understand what's going on. I say this is an industry best practice. We can follow that. We'll continue with that path. But they do exist for a reason. They're vetted. There are security governing bodies that do look at these best practices, change them if needed, but also indicate to users that they are safe to use, and that's how they should move forward. Once again, any questions, ask. It's the easiest thing to do. But as a whole, senior living is not any different from an IT perspective than any other industry vertical. Healthcare, manufacturing, infrastructure is basically the same. They're going to target. The bad guys are gonna target those industries where there's money to be had, where somebody is not taking the steps that they need to take to protect themselves. We have seen that there are many organizations in senior living that have not done that yet. Huge mistake. So if you ever, there's a number of managed service providers around that you can reach out to for advice. But if you don't know, ask. Many will do a free assessment, kind of tell you where you're at, make some suggestions to where you probably should be, and steps that you can take to protect yourself further. And I'd really like to thank everybody for this opportunity to come in to talk about this, one of my favorite topics. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or need any more information. Thanks very much.